you can only watch it for the first time once. It'll be interesting to see what we catch and what we don't.
Did you ever play the video game Mass Effect?
This is where Babylon 5 is becoming Babylon 5.
That was great. I love that.
100% completely accurate, definitive ranking of Babylon 5.
I love it so much.
We're officially into it, Jeff.
The year is 2025. The name of the podcast, Babylon 5, for the second time.
Welcome to Babylon 5 for the second time. My name is Brent Allen.
And I'm Jeff Akin. Brent and I used to be Star Trek podcasters, and then we watched Babylon 5 for the first time, and that changed everything. Now we're watching this incredible series for the second time, paying attention to all those things we didn't see or notice the first time around.
And don't worry, guys, we are still searching for those sci-fi messages that we know you guys love. We love them, you love them, we all love them. After all, that's why we watch sci-fi. That and the cool pew, pew, pew. This time, though, we are watching specifically for that litmus test we've been using for a very long time now, Jeff. We've refined it since the last time we watched this episode. We're looking for messages that hold up a mirror to society. We're looking for things that give us hope that things can be better in the future, or things that teach us how to be better human beings to one another. Love it so much. That being said, I've already referenced it. We have seen this episode before.
Yep.
That's what makes this the second time. From this point forward, this is your fair warning for spoilers. They will and probably are going to abound. They could be from any point and anywhere in the timeline of Babylon 5, from any episode in any season, any spinoff, any extra source materials. All of it is ahead. So if you have not watched this season yet, if you've not watched this episode, if you've not watched this incredible show, stop right here. Join us, go backwards in our playlist and check out our first watch of this and join us there. And when you've gotten through the whole series, trust us, you want to do it this way. Do not jump in on the spoilers ahead, okay? Trust us. Go back and do the first one. And when you get through it, then come back and join us here.
That'd be great. We'll be here waiting for you. Brent, to all of our recordings, we invite our Council Chambers tier subscribers to our Patreon. And there's a chat going on over here. And they've been talking quite a bit. If you're listening on the audio podcast, behind Brent is, what is that?
It's Darth Vader from the planet Vulcan.
I was going to say, is that Michael J. Fox back there? You're stirring up quite a bit of conversation. It's great. Of course, I'm talking about, well, spoilers are abound here. I'm talking about the one wearing a spacesuit standing behind Brent, because tonight, Brent, we're watching Babylon. Not the one. Not yet, at least, right? Yeah. The one has to bake for a little bit longer.
Or the other one. Or the one.
The other one? Which one? I don't know which one.
The one. It's the other, the one.
Oh, man. But no, we're gonna watch Babylon Squared here for the second time tonight. When we watched this episode the first time, I remember just being over, like I freaking loved this episode. Yeah. I thought that it was brilliant. I loved how they just kind of wove so many different things in. They answered questions. They left mysteries for us. I just remember thinking it was absolutely masterful. I am quite infamous. I'm so famous that I'm infamous about some of my views on Zathras. And are
you infamous?
Sí, el guapo.
El guapo.
We still got to do that one, man. We still got to watch it. But even as far back as this episode, I can remember thinking that the character, not necessarily Zathras, was ridiculous, but all the Earth Alliance people around him became ridiculous, because they're like, let's go chase this guy down who's trying to run away in an enclosed space station with nowhere to go.
Jeff, this episode, this is the one. This was the one.
This is the one. Here. Yes, the one.
This is a seminal episode. It is excellent in every way. Zathras is a phenomenal character. You immediately want to take one home with you. Like, Zathras is amazing. It is arguably the best. It's inarguably the best of season 1. I don't anticipate that changing at all, although it's possible, but I don't think it's going to change at all. This episode got even better when we got to season 3 with War Without End, and it all figures so prominently in that episode as well. And it took what was already an amazing episode and made it better as we're looking back on it now. This is a great episode, top to bottom. I have a question. I have a thought exercise, something that you and I would never know, because this isn't how we did it. You and I have both had friends where we have tried to get them into Babylon 5, and they're like, I got through like a couple episodes of the first season, just couldn't handle it, and I dipped out.
Right.
Totally understandable, right?
Mhm.
JMS has said a few times, you and I have encountered people say, okay, listen, here are the handful of episodes you really need to watch and then just move on.
Yeah.
What do you miss? I think the episodes we've said you kind of have to watch are Signs of Importance, Babylon Squared, Chrysalis, maybe Midnight on the Firing Line.
I think maybe on that one, but
maybe because I don't think we need anything else. But are there things in this episode? I'm really curious. Are there things in this episode you just wouldn't know, you wouldn't get, you wouldn't understand that are actually kind of pivotal to the episode without having all of the world building that has happened before? Like particularly the history of the Babylon stations and the hole in Sinclair's mind and the buildup with all of that and what's going on with Delenn and her whole deal with the Great Council and what all is that? And I don't know. I don't know. Maybe it's just fine. Maybe not. Maybe new viewers, they'll get everything they need to know and they can go on. I don't know.
It'd be fun to watch through that lens, but I do know one thing we would definitely miss out on is fasten or zip, or zip and fasten.
That's this episode? That's so fun.
It is.
That's so fun. By the way, fasten and then zip.
Yep. But that's
the other way around is just dangerous. I'm just saying, I've seen There's Something About Mary. It's just dangerous.
Thing is, though, if you fasten and then zip, you run the risk of unauthorized hot dog sales. That's what we used to say back in middle school. Were you selling hot dogs? We were smart.
In middle school, that'd be more like a beanie weenie.
Vienna. Hey, let's stop that line. So, hey, Brent, I went back and I listened to our For the First Time episode. I did.
Really?
I did. Isn't it
really?
Totally on a lark. I was like, maybe
did
I'll
you
just
learn anything? Was
a
that
little bit.
Worth it?
It was totally worth it. You know what?
All right.
We've talked about this. I really dig going back and listening to our first time episodes. It's fun. It's like entertaining to listen to. Also, I get so mad at us.
Oh, yeah?
Dude,
What do we do?
What is wrong with you? How could you think that? Didn't you notice that thing? They showed that on the screen.
Right in front of your face.
It was one time on the screen 8 episodes ago. How did you not see that?
How did you not make that connection? It was right there.
I get it. I totally get that now. But this episode, for the first time, was a huge set one of our longstanding traditions into place.
Did it?
We announced our first giveaway. Wash.
And in keeping with that tradition, as we end Babylon 5 for the second time, season 1, Jeff?
We're probably not going to do anything special. I don't know. We haven't talked about anything, at least. But a big build up and all the way down. But Wash, our good buddy Wash, made a bunch of stuff, including the Babylon 5 station itself. And
dude, right here on my desk. Wash, buddy, still got it, man. It's here on my desk. You're awesome.
Very good work. That PPG, mine too. Like mine has fell a couple of times. I have a little display thing it's on in the hallway, and it's fallen. Still
solid.
Yeah,
that's so good.
But you, Brent, your statement on this episode was, "Wow, a lot happened and not a lot happened." Really, they went into Babylon 4 and they rescued some people, but it was good TV.
Yeah, I do. Some of the best episodes are the most simple. When you boil it down, it is the most simple plot.
Yeah, it really
is.
They're
the best. They're absolutely the best. Have you ever watched, Jeff? I know you have. Have you ever watched there's a whole series of movies. It's out in space, and there's like a big like dog man, and they're flying around like a little flat disc ship. Star Wars.
Once or twice, I think I've seen it.
Heard of it. Thought about like if you look at the actual narrative of each of the films, it's really small. You know, like there's this big gap of space in between each of the movies, but like what happens within the actual movie itself is pretty minimal.
Right? You think about A New Hope, right? It's like dude meets an old man with a lightsaber. They find out there's a Death Star. They go join the group that's going to blow up the Death Star, and they blow it up.
Yeah, that's it.
That's the whole story.
Mm-hmm.
Well, that's Babylon Squared as well, apparently.
but it's great.
We both noted, though, that we were satisfied with the explanation of what happened to Babylon 4. One of the big questions coming into this episode, and we're like, oh, very satisfied. So in another thing Jeff's very famous for, so famous, he's famous, when, so Delenn leaves the council in this episode. Mm-hmm. And I thought that she was being selfish, just making decisions on her own that only benefit herself and no one else.
Did you really?
And you vehemently disagree.
Yeah. And I will continue to vehemently disagree.
We'll see. We'll watch it this time and see if you can come around to Camp
I didn't realize that your Delenn hate started so early, Jeff.
I didn't realize that either. I was I was pretty passionate about it. And this was probably one of our first mom and dad are fighting moments that we had on the show.
Okay. All right. We've had a few of those.
A little bit, yeah.
Hopefully they're entertaining.
Hope so. You did an incredible thing in this episode that we got to repeat a handful of times. But this has the commercial break in it.
Does it really? Is this the one?
Yeah. You worked that into the show, which is awesome. Let's see. You liked Zathras and said that you could handle him maybe one more time, but no more than like once a season.
Okay, yeah.
And that's kind of what I said, in the end. I'm just like, Zathras was a few minutes away from being too much, which doesn't mean I don't like him. It just means like they used him to exact capacity.
And we'll see him in War Without End. And then one more episode after that, right?
Yeah, we see him in the one with Ivanova works with him down in the Great Machine.
When she goes to like turn on the antenna or whatever.
Yeah, the voice.
Because that's really all the Great Machine was good for in the overall story.
It's just a super powered antenna, yeah.
And then we see him in the road home.
Yeah. And it's great in the road home. It was great. You were very curious about him. We both wanted to know more. I thought that Sinclair was not the one because of what Zathras said. And I thought that Delenn was the one. Turns out I was right.
You're 50-50 on that.
Right. Well, at the time, Sinclair was not the one.
Right.
So, I mean, I predicted that Lise Hampton, who we got our first little glimpse of last time, she's going to play a really big role for Garibaldi in the future.
It's true. That is true. She really did.
And then this started a lot of our conversations around the idea of possible futures. Lady Ladira, when she came in and she said, that's a possible future. And so we thought that this showed the possibility of one future with Ivanova in the station getting all blowed up. The other, future with what we thought was Earth Force attacking the station. And what we'll see in the Babylon 4 stuff. So this began a real thing of, well, what's the point of, knowing the future if none of it's baked or whatever?
Yeah.
And we had 4 big questions to close the whole thing out.
Okay.
So Delenn makes a big deal about the prophecy. What is the prophecy?
This is the thing that led her down the path of transitioning to human.
Correct.
With the Triluminary. Yeah.
What's the deal? What's the deal with B4? Zathras kept referring to the Great War. So is the Great War something that's avoidable or is it inevitable?
So in my head, and here's the thing, I'm not sure. You might know, or maybe we'll find out. Is that Great War, is it the one that was 1,000 years ago that they went back in time for? Or is it the new war that's about to happen with the Vorlons in the shadows?
I'm pretty sure it's the 1,000 years ago one.
Yeah.
And then at the end, we said, who is the they that are waiting for future Sinclair and Delenn? And we get that answer in War Without End.
And that they is?
That's like your Sheridan and Marcus and the whole crew just waiting back for, hey, we're time traveling. It's a good time. Join us and see what is yours and mine.
Now, Jeff, correct me if I'm wrong, and we'll talk about this more later when we get there, but wasn't War Without End like originally supposed to be like the closing of the whole show?
Something like that.
Like it was supposed to be the thing that wraps the whole thing up.
Well, that's back when in the initial treatment, I think.
That's what I mean. Yeah. Like
War Without End would end Babylon 5, and then that would lead to the next series that was going to be called Babylon Prime.
Gotcha.
I will listen to the episode. Brent, you went back and scoured the internet for statements from JMS. So let's sit back. I'm sure you had a lot to say on this one. What did you find?
There was so much, and I'm going to do my best to boil this down for everyone out there. In this episode, there is a man who shouts at Garibaldi and Sinclair, and I don't know what he's talking about here, so we're going to have to watch for this, Jeff, okay? There's a man who shouts at Garibaldi and Sinclair. JMS says what he says might provide clues about the nature of the opponents in another scene.
Oh, okay.
So let's listen for that and see if we can figure out exactly what he's talking about there. JMS also says to look closely at what's inside the transparent case that's given to Delenn. It's an object that has been shown before in a previous episode. That's very clearly, we can both look at that and go, she's talking about the Triluminary.
Yeah.
This is where she gets that. Apparently we get an instance of invisibility in this episode or something of that nature.
Okay.
And he states, he's like, the only instance of invisibility we've seen in the series up till this episode was in the War Prayer. And that was developed by Earth, suggesting that perhaps the attackers here might actually be human.
And we picked up on that, thinking, oh, it's Earth Force attack.
Now, JMS also said, and he speculated, The end of this episode will cause more speculation, consternation, and astonishment than anything you've seen on TV in a very, very, very long time. I don't know that it caused that much consternation, but
I'm gonna straight up disagree with this statement, but it's
Yeah.
a speculative statement, so it's okay.
We're also watching this in a post like Lost, because we all remember the conversations that happened when Lost was on TV. But anyone who's like born from 1990 or before.
Anybody watching this, like, let's be serious, let's be honest here.
That's most of you. Yes. We all remember. And I mean, Lost is what launched water cooler talk about TV. I mean, it really gave you appointment TV back in the day. So maybe it was up till then. We're just watching it on the backside of that. Now JMS called Babylon Squared and Chrysalis the two best episodes of the entire season. I'll give him half credit on that one.
I agree, but I'm also going to hold judgment. I think Chrysalis is going to hit a lot differently on his second time.
You and I were briefly mentioning this, and I'll just say it here for posterity's sake, understanding we have not watched it yet for the second time. I remember thinking Chrysalis was very It was like, it wasn't bad, but it wasn't like, oh my God, it's so good. I mean, especially not when we have TKO on
Exactly.
or Infection.
Come on. Yeah, for real.
So talking about the production of this episode and the sudden cuts back and forth, the sickly green light in Babylon 4. He said it was all done really intentionally to give us this maximum jarring effect as we're watching. So let's note that as we go through, like, how is this making us feel? It's supposed to be making us feel anxious and feel like there's this threat that's just sort of emanating all over the place. So they were trying to artistically lead us into that. And as a guy who works in production design, for live theater anyway, I really I appreciate when people do stuff like that. So I'm interested in looking forward to that. Now we know that the suit, you and I know this, the suit that Sinclair, this suit back here, was from Space Odyssey 2001, and lots of people make a lot of big deal about the fact that it's a nod, it's an homage. Nope, it means absolutely nothing. It's just what the costuming department had on hand.
Yeah, it was available. That's is what we got.
All it was. The costume department just had it. So it was just, he literally says it was literally all that was hanging in the closet for them to use. That's it. Apparently people were speculating if Zathras was of two different races, like a hybrid species. JMS says no, he's just his own race.
He's Hayek-Do, is what you figured out.
He's just he is one of his own race. So here's my question. What races do we think people were trying to think he was a hybrid of?
Yes, human.
I have a guess.
Yeah.
If you look at him, if you were to put a hybrid of a Narn and a Centauri together, and think about what that could mean if you think about a time traveling creature or something like Zathras. But then the other question is kind of like with horses and mules, and then you get horses and donkeys, and then you get a mule. Would a Zathras be able to procreate themselves?
Well, they do. They just do it by budding,
cloning, or whatever. Now, Babylon 5, did you know this, Jeff? I didn't know this. Babylon 5 is actually smaller than Babylon 4.
I do remember hearing something about that.
Yeah. Which basically was a logistical thing because they sunk most of their budget into Babylon 4, and they had to really scrimp and save when they got to Babylon 5. So it's a bit smaller. Here's a question you and I have often had, Jeff. Babylons 1 through 4 were located roughly in the same sector of space. Babylon 4 used materials left over from 1, 2, and 3, like that they kind of gathered as they exploded and stuff. Babylon 5 was constructed about 3 hours time travel from the location. They're like, we're going to just move it over here. That's a bad juju spot. We're going to move it over here, which is interesting because it means this wasn't always around Epsilon 3.
Yeah.
Now, one of the questions we have asked. Oh, yeah, go ahead.
Theory. So the Minbari were very involved in the construction of Babylon 5, the funding of it. That's why they got to pick Sinclair as the commander. I wonder if them working with the Vorlons had knowledge of the Great Machine and Zathras and everything that was there, and they're the reason that Babylon 5 got created there.
Possibly.
Part of the prophecy.
There's all sorts of stuff about it. I think canonically, everything we've seen, the Great Machine was built on the planet about 500 years ago, which means that's when they had the other war 1,000 years ago. This was built sometime in about the midpoint of the intervening time. So it wouldn't have necessarily been there. Like this machine would have had to have been built because we knew that's where it was going to go. Like,
yeah. And that's where I think it's all part of the prophecy. I think the Great Machine was built to facilitate war without end. Like that's the whole reason it exists.
Yeah.
And so
Kosh was going back in time and flipping and everything back and forth. So there you go. Anyway, so we've talked about why, and we always just assume this is a production. Remember Delenn had the triangle thing on the forehead and the other guy. Why, when we see the council, are there no triangles on their foreheads? He answers that question.
Okay.
He has an answer. He says, while the triangle is one element of the Great Council's symbology, it is not present and visible at all times and under all circumstance. It has a particular purpose and meaning, from which I got that's absolutely no answer at all.
Yeah. It has a purpose when the plot calls for it, and it's never going to call for it again.
Right. And sometimes it's seen and sometimes it's not. Come on, dude.
Right.
Come on.
It's a mystery.
Right. Asking another question about the Great Council. Does the Great Council live permanently on that ship? And his answer is they stay on the cruiser almost entirely during their tenure on the council, only leaving for personal family crisis situations and stuff like that. So they still have lives back home.
It's a real stick point in a novel I'll mention a couple times, I think in this watch, To Dream in the City of Sorrows. It's a point of contention, you know. Oh, you guys are out there in your cruiser. You have no idea what's going on down here. You're out of touch. And so there's definitely a rub that happens there because of it.
Last question is the Triluminary. Does it have anything to do with the sculpture in Delenn's quarters that we've seen her building? The answer is yes.
Also, on a first-time watch, who's putting those pieces together?
Who's noticing that Delenn is building a damn thing in her quarters?
Exactly. Yeah.
Like, seriously.
Come on.
Like, you might be like we're examining it the way you and I do. It's like, what is she doing? Is that a thing? Because it kind of looks like when they go to her that she's just sort of doing a thing. It doesn't look like she's building a structure over the course of several episodes.
It's like,
until
what
I
is
go
it?
back and watch it again.
Calto or whatever, that like meditative thing Tuvok
Yeah,
does.
it just looks like, it was just a thing. Putting a house of cards because it's what I do to keep my hands busy. So anyway, Jeff, that's what I got out of the Lurker's Guide for Babylon Squared.
Well, dude, I am ready to watch this thing. How about you?
I love it. Let's get into it.
Cool. If you're joining us for the first time, welcome. Every episode is somebody's first, and I imagine this is quite a few people's first because it's Babylon freaking Squared. Like this is one to watch for sure. If you're watching us on YouTube, then you're going to see kind of the edited, cut up version of this, the reaction video style thing that comes from here. If you want to see the full unedited version of this, we post that up on our Patreon page at patreon.com/Babylon5First. That's the number 5 and the word first. And there's a link down in the show notes that you can click to get there.
Especially if that link has been updated.
Yeah, I think it has.
Oh, no. Like here in the near future should be.
Very near future,
Anyway.
actually. Yeah.
With that, if you're also listening to us on an audio podcasting app of that nature, because, let's face it, Jeff, you and I got faces for radio.
And podcasting. Come on.
And podcasting. There you go. Hey, listen, if you're listening to us over there, totally awesome. You're going to hear the reaction. We're going to keep that in the cut. We used to cut it out, but we're not anymore because we want you guys to join in on the fun with us. And then after that, we are going to get together and we'll have our discussions of everything we had going on during the episode. So, Jeff, with that, hit that magic button. Let's go.
Oh, I remember this.
Oh, it's this intro. Oh, I love this one.
You look like hell.
I know, and it's
Tachyons.
pretty routine, but I authorized Alpha 7 to go.
Sorry. I was in a room today where there was a physics professor who was talking to a bunch of young kids. Right. And I'm just sitting there. I'm in the front row for whatever reason. And he starts talking about different things with science, reality, and science fiction, and the difference between Star Trek and Star Wars, and why one's based on fantasy, the other's fiction, whatever. But he goes on to he starts talking about tachyons.
Okay.
He goes, and this guy's like 2 years older than I am, Jeff. Like he's one of us.
Right. Yeah.
Total nerd. Like he's like, yeah, I spend all my time watching sci-fi TV shows and playing Zelda. Like that's this guy, right? That's the professor. Anyway, he goes, so tachyons are a theoretical particle. Like we don't know if they really exist, but they're a theoretical particle that actually move faster than the speed of light, which means, and he looks at me, I goes, time travel. It's like, that's what it means.
Right.
It means time travel. And he's like, yes.
Every
Always
time.
means time travel.
Tachyons and chronotons.
Right. And I was like, yes, a theoretical particle that travels faster than the speed of light, which is supposedly. I have a hard time ever saying anything in physics is actually impossible.
Right? It's impossible until we prove it's not.
Sector 14, that's a pretty long haul in normal space.
Sinclair's leaning right in. He's like, let's do
The
this.
time I learned mornings was during the 3 years I spent being taught by Jesuits.
Dude, his voice could put me to sleep.
Totally. Listen to him go.
Breathing in, breathing out, breathing in.
He just needs to like put a finger on her nose and start stroking down.
Right.
Like
My favorite part here is where Garibaldi's like, I just happen to have some extra dishes here.
he does. He just has empty dishes next to him. I remember talking about that the first time around.
Well, what? Oh, that was great. Boy, just hit the spot. You cleaned your plate too? Guess I better get going.
He points out the empty dish.
7:30? I didn't even. I slept through breakfast? This isn't fair. Is it?
Something, Lieutenant Commander?
No, nothing. I'm fine.
Dude, they actually look like they're having a good time together in that.
Right?
That's that. Hopefully they filmed this episode a little earlier before things got bad.
Garibaldi! You're a dead man! You identify Alpha 7?
Not quite. I can't make it out.
Holy Mary Mother of Ivanova. Look at that thing.
That's not possible. That can't be it. Just can't be it.
It just can't be
was the dawn
for...
of the third age of mankind.
So I was looking while I was looking for photos of this guy who's behind me. I ran across a few other drawings of Babylon 4.
Okay.
Now, the way I've always seen Babylon 4 is this really big, not as long as Babylon 5, like a little more stumpy, but really fat machine, right? But the way these drawings had it, it was actually really long and slender, but and it wasn't fat, it was just more voluminous, you know, and I was like, that actually looks really cool. But every
Yeah.
time else I've seen it, it just looks like it just has this like fat belly, like right in the middle of it.
It's one of those examples of, hey, we're doing CG ahead of the curve. And maybe you shouldn't.
Or no, maybe you should, because this is what pushed it forward.
Is it though?
I think it is.
Babylon 5 pushed it. Season 1, Babylon 5 pushed it forward.
The entirety of Babylon 5 period pushed it forward.
Well, it benefited from a lot of other CG work, like at Pixar and other stuff that was going on.
Sure, but it brought it to television and made it more accessible that way.
Okay.
I don't know why that just went back.
Colin's correct. Someone did have to be first. So
Babylon Control to
I don't
Alpha
disagree
7.
with that at all.
Please respond. Babylon Control to Alpha 7. There's nothing can be done.
Andrew, on point that this rewatch would have time problems.
We're still receiving it. Based on trajectory, the fighter seems to be returning to base.
Quite. Some things one must do alone.
I got these great seat belts. I'm gonna be
I
fine.
believe I'm ready to proceed.
They look very
I have
comfortable.
3
Your
buttons to
discretion,
control my
Babylon
entire
Control.
ship.
The Minbari just call that one button.
You know, I'm looking at that ship though. I can see a little bit of a white star.
coming into scanner range.
Like I can see that being a prelude to a white star.
Alpha 7, you're clear to dock. Proceed to main bay.
Michael, I want that ship examined with a fine-tooth comb. Something fatal here.
We
I
ain't
wanna know
found.
what.
See how many Tuvok references we can get in this thing. Oh yeah, totally. Like in the color and
Yeah.
stuff, a little in the shape.
Yeah, definitely has that precursor feel to it.
B4.
How?
B4 as in Babylon 4?
What did he
What I
use
can't
to
figure is
scratch into that
Before
metal?
guys put out a trace
Thumbnail.
over 4 years ago. I don't get it.
B4. This is another case of Star Trek ripping off Babylon 5.
Absolutely it is. This is clear cut.
Clear as day.
Babylon 4 disappeared.
Also, every time
Whatever happened
Star
to
Trek
Babylon
references
4
tachyon emissions,
That's one
Total ripoff.
possibility. Sinclair.
Commander, we just started picking up a distress signal in Sector 14.
We don't often get Corwin and that girl together in CNC. That's pretty exciting.
Who?
The distress call identifies itself
well,
as...
you know, you got budget
Commander,
reasons.
It's Babylon 4.
We're on our way.
The station just doesn't disappear and reappear 4 years later like some kind of Flying Dutchman.
Only one way to find out.
Let's see it.
Station.
The only reason I know about the Flying Dutchman is because of Pirates of the Caribbean.
I know about it because of SpongeBob.
Earth Station, Babylon 4.
Here it is. Oh,
So
I
I
love
won't
that
lie
it's
to
in
you.
there.
We don't know for sure what's waiting for us out there.
It makes me so happy.
All we do know is that we've already had one man killed.
So I want to point out just an interesting thing. Sinclair walking through here, giving the Starfury pilots the whole like, you know, this could be a one-way trip, blah blah blah.
Yeah.
Knowing that 12 years before this, the president was giving this same speech before the Battle of the Line, calling for people to like, and he answered that call. It kind of makes me look at this moments like this a little bit differently, knowing what brought him to this. Like, that's what brought him to this point. Somebody doing this. I wonder if this lady here is going to be the next. She could be the next Sinclair.
While investigating Sector 14.
2 hours, 3 minutes. This is the part I hate most. The waiting. Mind if I ask you a question?
Sure.
Okay, it's morning. You're getting ready to go to work. You pull on your pants. You fasten and then zip, or zip and then fasten.
What kind of question is that?
Well, look, we got 2 hours to kill.
Forget it.
It's just a question. It's okay, I'll just watch my console. Don't worry about it.
Knowing what we know of them, this is great.
That feels a little honest.
Yeah.
You know?
Uh-huh.
Fasten, then zip. You?
Fasten, zip.
FZ bros.
How much longer?
So when we watched this the first time,
we
asked ourselves the sock question. Is it sock shoe or sock shoe shoe?
Oh.
And I forget what you said. I didn't. What are you though? Are you a sock
shoe shoe?
I that's what I said I was. But almost immediately after we recorded the episode, I actually paid attention. I am a sock shoe guy. I will sock shoe tie.
Interesting.
It's kind of weird.
Summoned, I come. We stand between the dark and the light.
Think about how long she's not been there. Like they're literally operating.
How many meetings she's missed?
Like, does she phone in and vote or something?
Right.
My calling is to serve, not to lead. My work on Babylon 5
is concluded.
Leading is serving if you do it right.
Prophecy will attend to itself. We will pray for guidance and select another to take it.
You can definitely see components of the design, though, that persisted. The docking bay, the fins.
Yeah. You know, all this green and everything, thinking about what JMS was saying about it, it's very reminiscent of a Borg cube to me.
It is, yes.
You sure? I'll cover you.
I mean, at this point in sci-fi, we've been trained that green is evil.
I see you. You think I
Like
can't?
green
It's
light.
always, green, it's certainly black. Like, those are your typical evil colors.
Red.
You know? Red, yeah. Although it makes it weird because green was Luke Skywalker's original lightsaber.
I gotta get off this station.
Or was it blue? And it turned
His original was blue, and then what he made was green.
Yeah.
Delenn in the chat shared that the dude yelled at Sinclair, "I know who you are."
Interesting.
Which makes sense with Babylon 4 being a base of operations, although it might not have been yet, but it was back there.
Yeah. But I mean, Sinclair was still in the military. Like, he still could have known who he was.
Yeah, possible. He wasn't like a big shot guy. It's not there.
We have to hurry. We have to
Ben
get
points out,
everyone
man,
off the station
it's so cool
quickly
that they were able to
before-
get all of these guys back for War Without End 2 seasons later.
Yeah, they're great. I also imagine they had pretty open schedules.
So this is supposed to be Earth Force invading Babylon 5.
I think that's what we're being led to believe.
Right. And like, it's a flash forward 2 years and everything. He has no more Bruce Willis moment than this right here.
Right, exactly.
Like, this cements Barry Doyle as Bruce Willis.
Wait. What?
Yeah, Andrew says
What
he
was
thought
that?
that it was the
It's
Shadows
different
invading
for
Babylon
everyone.
5. I did too,
The Flash.
looking back on it.
Forward.
Well, I think, like
All of us.
Nia says, that's what we
entire
saw on the road
station,
home,
we've
was it was the
become
shadows.
Stuck in time, Commander. That's why we have to get out of here quickly.
Anything else unusual happened before the station vanished?
Jinxo left.
This.
Here we go!
We don't know how he got aboard, where he came from, or what race he is. I've never seen an alien like him before.
They told Zathras, biggest of all Babylon stations, needing we take. You let Zathras go.
So then he says Babylon 4
Finish
is the
what
biggest
Zathras
of the
came for.
stations.
Zathras tells maybe we don't break Zathras' scrawny little neck.
He doesn't look so scrawny.
No.
No one listen to poor Zathras, no.
Just the dirt.
Great war.
Beast of burden.
Great hope of peace.
Last
Need
best
place. Place to gather, to fight, to organize. Mathematics not Zathras' skill.
Yeah, I'm going to call BS on that.
Major, it's
The
back.
man is like an engineering genius.
Right? Yeah.
Like,
It's the simple math, the conversions.
I
That's
like
what gets
how the two guards were just standing there and watched him like
Yeah,
get up,
exactly.
pause, and then go. Hey, hi Sheridan. Hi Sheridan on screen.
I wonder if Bruce Boxleitner got the credit. I mean, even though he was under a hood and everything.
It is the one.
This is where we were pretty sure it was him. It was Sinclair.
It was inside.
Yeah, because
All of this points to it being Sinclair because he does the little zap and shoot him back thingy, right?
Yep. Whenever your matter touches matter in a thing.
Why you? Why not another?
It is my calling. The calling. No ruling of this council can override that.
Delenn.
Knowing what we know about Minbari, that phrase right there means everything right
Means everything. You're right.
We would not have caught that though, right? Like, and we wouldn't pick up on that.
No.
Where she says the calling of my heart.
Well, honestly, and I think in my past Jeff's defense, not knowing what we know about Minbari culture, that line is literally her being like, whatever I want is more important than what all you all want.
Which it is.
Right.
But that's their culture.
Yeah. We didn't know that yet. It was just like,
Right.
oh my God.
More so than what we have the capacity to do right now, Jeff. The whole monologue she just delivered, we could do an entire podcast episode on by itself.
Yes.
Talking about humanity and what that means. Like that deserves a much deeper dive than what you and I can give during a reaction piece here.
Yeah, I think it's something
yeah.
to capture. And then there are these moments throughout the rest of the series, and it's usually out of the mouth of Delenn or Jakar, but where they define humanity in a way like this. And I think we capture all of that and do a little dive in. Because I was listening to that and I'm like, that's great. It's a beautiful description and reflection of our state of being and our potential there. The message is we don't know how good we are or how noble we are.
It's hope that we can be better in the future.
It's hope. Mm-hmm.
That's what it is it's giving us hope. Like, we can do this. You have to believe this about ourselves and understand this is who you are. I mean, her line, they forget that they've come through this place through 2 million years of struggle and evolution or something like that. And that they are worthy. Like but that's you forget where you come from. That's our biggest weakness, is that we forget what we've been through to get to this. I mean, you know, as a society, I think we see that, like, you forget what we've been through to get to where we are. And now we're going to do things that throw it away. Like, and I'm not just speaking of current situations. Like that's throughout history all the time.
Absolutely.
We forget who we are. We forget where we came from. And then we wind up losing it. Like,
it's a thing I've learned in my years as a transformational leader or a wartime CEO. It's a title I like to use for myself. But you have to look back. You have to look back and acknowledge how far you've come. Otherwise, if you just live, and you also have to just live in the now, right? Like, as for a leader, you have to exist in the past, the present, and the future all at the same time to remind people of where they've been and where they've come from, and then take them to where they're going. But if you don't look back, then the present state always sucks.
I do have something else out of this, but I do want to save it for our post episode chat. So we'll circle back around to this. If you're listening, stick around because we're going to get back to that, because there's something else I really want to dig out of this.
Okay.
That I'm excited to talk about. So
If you reject this decision so that we may reflect on our choices,
so they're calling her home because they want her to lead them.
then we shall put it to a vote.
Let's have this conversation.
Okay.
Delenn, as far as we understand, newest member of the Great Council, young whippersnapper, personally installed by Duke 12 years ago or whatever. We assume nobody else has come in. It's possible, but still, that's something else. They want her to be the one to.
And they explained why, and I think it's a big deal. You've seen the galaxy. You've interacted with other races and species. You are more galaxy-ly than any of us. And I think knowing what we know of the Minbari, huge statement.
I was going to say, that's maybe the most humble thing we've ever heard a Minbari say. Ever, you know?
I would imagine them, especially in this time of humanity rising and just the rising, tensions between the Centauri and Narn. Like, this isn't a good time. I could see them being like, no, we need to bring in, one of our old guard who's just like, nope, we're gonna close in. We're Minbari first platform, which would mirror the Earth first stuff happening for humans. But no, they went the other direction. We want somebody who's been out there, who's seen the world, the galaxy, who understands what's out there. So with that, Delenn following her heart, the calling of her heart, is she responsible for the Minbari Civil War?
Discuss.
So she turns down leadership in this moment. What I know of Delenn is like she was talking to who I believe is Rethen out there and saying, I'll never leave that room. I'm going to be stuck on this ship forever. No, if she's the leader, if she's Dukat, she's going to find a way to be like, you know what? We're going to go back to Minbar and we're going to see our people again, or she's going to find a way to get back in touch. I think that with her, them naming her leader because of her worldliness, she would have led and actually brought the Minbari together. Instead, between this and her later action of dissolving the council altogether, she rips apart their desire right now to be progressive and look towards social evolution within the galactic stage. And then later she destroys the only bit of leadership they have.
And hear me out, because we saw the Grey Council vote against Dukat. Dukat was not pleased, but the Grey Council could still or they want her back so they can control her, and they put her in this really nominal position. She'll do whatever, and they're still going to vote however they want to vote. But they're getting her off the front lines out there. They're going to put her in a room and control her.
I can see that. That's a good possibility.
I think it really comes down to how genuine do we think the Great Council is being here. And I got to be honest, I think I kind of fall on the side of they're just trying to get her to shut up and get off the front stage.
And I think especially because the dude who was like, you're going to lead us for all these great reasons, he was the one that was living in her closet and babysitting her.
Little fat dude over there?
Uh-huh.
Oh, yeah.
So yeah, maybe. I could definitely see that.
Yeah.
Now I want to pay attention here when they vote.
Uh-huh.
I'm going to assume it's 3 votes against honoring her, which would be the warrior caste, which would fully support your theory.
It'd be 4.
There's only 3 at this point.
No, but you'd need 4 to hang because it's going to be 8 of them counting, 8 of them voting, right? Unless Delenn's getting to vote for herself, which she should have turned off her own light then,
Yeah.
Or the warrior caste leaves their lights on.
Yeah, I'm pretty because she wins. They say, yeah,
she's
your
saying
heart.
no, I don't want to do this.
Yeah,
and so they go, okay, well, we'll withdraw our thing, and they're going right along with what she says. The warrior caste is going, no, you got to lead us anyway.
That's why I'm saying to support your theory. They're like, no, you have to stay. We got a leash right here.
All right, let's see what happens.
Who among us will honor Delenn's request?
Oh,
I can't tell who's who, to be honest with you.
4 went down, but Fat Dude was one of them.
This council has spoken.
That's interesting.
We withdraw our...
They were keeping their lights on to honor her request.
Yeah.
So if the lights went off, that means no, you got to stay.
Yeah.
So that we may reflect on our choice.
But I don't know if Closet Dude is warrior caste or what, but 4.
I like how they're still using this orange plastic fencing that I had around my middle school baseball field.
As soon as we can load you into the shuttle. Hey, come.
So this is it. You're just gonna leave.
So this is it. Please tell.
I don't understand you, Michael.
Alive or dead, he's the only proof I'm going with us. Take it.
It's a very Earth Force attitude.
Right.
I got something I've really picked up on when we watched in the beginning a lot of this stuff. Like, Earth Force really are the baddies.
Yeah. Yeah.
You can tell someone just chucked that thing.
You can see it. You can see him doing it.
But it's still on the same mission. Maximum burn.
I like. All right, in a ship like that.
So, all right, Brent, we just watched most of Babylon Squared for the second time and acknowledged that the last 3 minutes are missing, and our buddy from Council Chambers, Ben, sent us a full-on recording, but because of some technical reasons, we weren't able to use that. So really quick, what we missed was, again, I'm assuming it's Rethen, but another one of the Great Council that we got to hear a lot from in this one, walked out with Delenn and wished her well and handed her the Triluminary. She was very honored by getting handed that. And when she's like, oh my gosh, you can't do this, he says, it's cool. We got 2 more. It'll be a while until they notice it's gone. So there's 3 Triluminaries. Now, what's interesting in that moment was they handed it over and like they touched it, like prison window touched the thing, and it didn't light up. But I'm pretty sure it's because it was in a case or a container.
Was it though?
I'm
Or
guessing.
did we just retcon some stuff and
We might a little bit.
Yeah.
But he gave us a little bit of like, hey, some stuff's about to go down. He says there are signs and portents of things to come.
Dun dun dun.
He said the thing. And then there's a little exchange between Ivanova and Sinclair that was all the awesome Ivanova and Sinclair stuff that you could imagine. So
Thank you, Ben, for sending that over. And
Yes.
sorry we couldn't use that particular version. Really wanted to, really tried. Tech stuff.
it happens. But what do you got out of this one that we didn't discuss during the react itself?
So, first of all, let me just decompress for a moment because it's such a great Flargon episode.
Yes.
It's so good, top to bottom, all the way around. When we first set out to do the rewatch, Jeff, to do Babylon 5 for the second time, to see the things that we missed and to pick up on the things, this episode delivers in every way.
Totally.
Not just to rewatch a good episode, but there were things we were pulling out. They were like, oh, the call of my heart thing with Delenn. We wouldn't have noticed that later. Or, oh, who's in the suit or not in the suit? Or, hey, look at what's going on over here. Or look at what's happening over there. Or what is this conversation they're having over there? Like all of those things that we just would have not understood the first time around. And we were able to understand and experience this episode. We were able to watch this episode through the lens of War Without End.
Yeah.
Which we weren't able to do the first time around for obvious reasons.
Completed the cycle.
Yeah, exactly. So, and even if you take those three and you put them together, if we would have done those three together, let's say the first time around, we still would have watched this one first.
Exactly.
It's almost like this one should be a prequel, which prequels are meant to be watched second.
Mm-hmm.
A prequel is still a sequel. It just takes place beforehand, which means you're still supposed to watch it second. So there's a lot in this that I just don't think there's an appreciation for this episode that goes exponentially higher because of the War Without End and knowing where all of that kind of stuff goes.
Mm-hmm.
Now, that being said, I don't remember and Jeff, you might know this, you listen to the show. I probably could look it up in my notes. I don't remember what we said on a message level about this show the first time around.
So I gave this one 2.5 deltas. You gave it half a delta. We both basically said this was great TV.
Yeah, I would up that.
Agreed.
I would up that after watching this another time, based solely on the monologue of Delenn. There's a few other things with it. When we talk about a little bit of Mirror to Society, specifically when we talk about hope that things can be better in the future, hope that humanity can be better in the future, Delenn just exposits all of that out of her aura, you know, and we dissected some of it during the episode, but I did want to save some for this part right here. I loved this piece, and it really struck me about a contrast piece to it.
Okay.
She said, talking to humans, they are ruled by their passions and their fears, and that is their strength. They do not seek conformity or surrender, and out of their differences, they find symmetry, right?
Mm-hmm.
They are ruled by their passions and their fears, and that is their strength. Okay, let me put this in terms that might be a little more relatable, Jeffrey Akin.
Okay.
They are ruled by their emotions, and that is their strength. And I think if there's one thing that you and I, for all of our years of podcasting about Star Trek, and when you examine the Vulcan philosophy, and it's the idea of being so logical about stuff is appealing, and it's really, you know, I can just be cold logical about stuff.
And it has a place. It has
a place. But when we really drill down on that, it's not really what we want. And it's not the design, and it leaves you very, very limited. It is through embracing your emotions, which includes your fears, which includes your passions, that you are able to actually push yourself forward and push society forward and push humanity forward. But I love that they're ruled by their passions and their fears, and that is their strength. Not this cold, we never lie and we always do this and we do that and we're just going to be super chill the whole time. It is such an anti-Vulcan philosophy. And frankly, Jeff, I love it.
Yeah. Especially because the Vulcans are actually so much more emotional than humans. They just worked through generations and generations to suppress it because it is scary, because it could be perceived as volatile and chaotic, and
yeah,
it's scary. But I think that's a thing that really separates humans from other mammals, you know, and other animals. And I'm a believer that I've had mammals, dogs and stuff in my life, 100% they have emotions. Like they feel, and it's great.
Yep.
But I think we have the ability to not only feel, but to like name what that feeling is, act based on it or not, you know, based on what we choose. But what's so powerful about it, we talked about it a little bit last week, right? The principle of, you know, an equal and opposite, you know, force sort of a thing in terms of the laws of motion, but the laws of emotion are so much more in depth. And, you know, I think that, you know, the thing I've learned in my journey, and we've talked about on other episodes in different capacities and stuff, but the ability to notice the emotion that exists for you, to name it, to sit in it and allow it to happen. That's how we grow. When we feel an emotion and we hide it, suppress it, cold logic it, whatever, that's where we lash out at other people. It's a real question of abundance versus scarcity, right? If I can sit in an emotion and allow it to pass, like the litany of fear in Dune, right? I'll allow it to pass through me and I will be all that remains. Makes you stronger when that happens. And that directs yourself to yourself and others in a positive way. But when you hold it back, you got all this, and so we lash out at other people and it just it hurts. That's when we hurt.
Becky has a great comment in our council chambers.
I saw this one. I'm glad you're bringing it up.
She says, might I suggest that this is what made Delenn humanish even before she was half human? Becky, I might even push back on that and go, something that we know about her is she already was, maybe not half human, but she was 1% human.
Child of Valen.
She was a child of Valen, you know, and maybe that's where this comes from. It makes you wonder, was Ducat a child of Valen? And that's why he was so cool, man.
But it makes you think about, not to make it about Star Trek, but to go back to it, Spock was half human. And he was the one who started moving things in a direction that would have brought the Vulcans and the Romulans potentially back together.
Yeah.
Because you bring in that emotion piece.
Well, and he particularly had to go with there's my human and then there's my Vulcan and there's my human. The Vulcan said he had to basically eliminate the humanity part. And I think it literally took him dying and coming back to life before he realized actually those two parts are integrated. It's an integrated side of you. It's not all one or all the other, you know? So, but Jeff, you know what? This is not a Star Trek podcast.
It's not.
This is about Minbari. This is about Delenn, and this is about the one. It's Zathras.
And Minbari, Delenn does that. We get to see the physical manifestation of them being one, human and Minbari. It's not that, oh, I'm half one, half the other, but I look like one and sometimes act like the other. No, I am both.
Yeah. Yeah. That was the big thing I got out of just sheer enjoyment of watching it and then putting all the pieces together. But it's in terms of pulling a message out of it, certainly one, it seems like we missed it the first time around. And you and I said in the show, and I'll just repeat it here, that entire monologue could be its own podcast topic of really diving in. And it probably deserves to be, because at JMS, you're watching this, man, such a beautiful piece of writing. That whole deal, man. Talk about hope that humanity can be better in the future.
Well, he does such a great job as the series continues, putting words into the mouths of Delenn and G'Kar again, specifically, that just describe humanity in such beautiful, beautiful ways. You know, I one thing I want to hit on before we get to the next cool part is when I watched this the first time, I felt that Delenn choosing to leave the council and stuff was very ego-driven and selfish, and I see it differently on this second view, knowing
welcome to the rest of us, Jeff.
Hey, you know,
hey, listen, your journey back to normalcy begins with a single step, my friend.
And here's step one. The whole piece is acknowledging that Delenn wasn't to be. In fact, in Minbari culture, she was being selfless.
Ooh,
right. Hey, I could literally have like the most coveted, honored position in our society. Nope, I'm going to do the higher calling and answer the calling of
the
my
thing
heart.
That's of my heart, and I'm going to serve.
Although I will say again, I said it in there. I'm here to serve, not lead. If you're a good leader, you are a servant. So,
well, you
serve.
You serve by leading. Leading. I mean,
that is your service.
That is the service, is leading, because you're moving the people from point A to point B. You're moving them from here to there. So
Brent, you said that this was an enjoyable episode. It was great. It was fun. It was well written. But now, sir, you need to put pen to paper and codify that because we are creating the definitive.
You're going to make me do this, aren't you?
I am going to make you
do you know how hard this one's going to be?
I have a really good idea, and I'm going to set you up for it. I want to make it as easy as I possibly can.
Okay.
There's the strike zone right through the middle.
Okay.
As we develop the definitive, unarguable ranking of Babylon 5, the first season, you get to do that. You get to rank this bad boy. So I'm going to, well, our current top episode is Signs and Portents. I don't think I need to list any others, Brent. So where does this one go?
Well, you're definitely in the right space of it, Jeff.
Okay.
And I mean, you know, Signs and Portents is such a good episode.
It is. There's a lot on the line on how you answer this question, by the way.
There is. But, you know, I think this is where I just come back to the old litmus test of which episode would I want to watch again first? Jeff, this is our new number one.
Okay.
Or our old number one, or whatever it is. This is our number one. There's no question. No question. I said before we started it was going to be the number one. And you know what? I had it open. My hand was open towards it. But my God, it's just, this is the best episode.
Yep.
Like of this season.
This was number one in our first ranking. So far, number one in this one.
Neither of the next two episodes are going to, they're just not. This one's going to stay here.
We'll see.
It is, Delenn says it is the one.
It is the
Yes,
one.
Yes, that's correct.
It is the one that is. We'll see if it is also the one that will be, because Brent, that wraps up Babylon Squared. Next week,
yeah,
we're watching what could potentially usurp it as the number one, an episode called The Quality of Mercy.
Yeah.
Do you remember what you thought this episode was going to be about?
I do, but there's something in our council chambers that I've seen pop up a couple times, and I think it bears just mentioning while we're here.
Okay.
Before we fully move on from Babylon 5. Ivanova,
oh yeah,
in the missing segment, has this line: next time I'm going and Garibaldi's staying here.
And that's what happened.
And that's what actually happens. And that's really cool, knowing that that's coming there. So that being said, Quality of Mercy, my prediction was basically this was going to be a riff on Balance of Terror, right? Like that's what this is. And I believe, Jeff, correct me if I'm wrong, the first time we watched this, the final episode of season 1 of Star Trek Strange New Worlds came out.
Right around this time.
Is this one A Quality of Mercy or The Quality of Mercy?
This is The Quality of Mercy.
Okay. The Strange New Worlds episode was A Quality of Mercy.
Uh-huh.
And that was a kind of side shot of Balance of Terror.
Mm-hmm.
And so I was kind of going, this is going to be a submarine. It's going to be the same. I think that's what was going on when we first recorded this the first time around. And so I was making that reference. How about you? What was your prediction?
Dude, I was banging a drum that was already well worn at this point. Quality of Mercy is going to be about the Great Egg. I figured Dr. Franklin was going to get in trouble finally for this, and he would learn the quality. Of course, we were both wrong, and we'll find out exactly what that's all about next week right here when we watch it and react to it right here with all of you. Thanks for hanging out with us. Thanks for checking us out. If you haven't already, please make sure that you subscribe, like, comment, click the stuff, do the stuff. Is awesome when you do those things. The one thing you can do, though, that truly makes a big difference for us and means the world to us is share this show with somebody who hasn't heard it or seen it yet. That would be fantastic. So with that, we're going to wrap up Babylon Squared, and we'll
Jeff.
see you. Yes, Brent, what is up?
No, not the one. Not the one.
All right, so we're doing what do you mean? Not the one.
Not the one. Not the one. Mm-mm.
So okay, what does it take to be the one then?
Well, you could have been the one, or the other the one, or the other the one, but you are not the one.
Are you telling me there's 3 the ones?
No, there are 4 lights.
We're crying out loud.
I mean, we're not some deep space franchise. The station is about something.
It was a little mid, but it was okay.
It's good. It's good. I just love how your Zathras so quickly turns into Triumph the Insult comic dog.
My Zathras, my Londo.
It's so true. It's so true.
Hey, Council Chambers, thank you guys so much for hanging out with us. Jeff and I are going to go ahead and get out of here. It's 1:00 in the morning. I got to be up early in the morning, and Jeff, I know you do too. And thank you guys so much. I know we just sort of threw this one in, kind of not really last minute. We let you guys know earlier today.
A couple hours. Yeah.
A couple hours. We had to go. We were early.
As Trey says, we took it right into the hour of the wolf. So
yeah, there we go.
Got that for you.
We sure did. So anyway,
Good
you
God.
guys are amazing. Delenn is 6 a.m. Holy fart bubbles. Nia wanted the time loop where we tried to start the episode over again.
Yeah,
that would have been a good one. We did that one before, didn't we?
Yeah.
Did we do that the first time?
I think we did it. I don't remember how it ended because we stopped
or was
listening
it
to
the War
message.
Without End one? It was either this one or War Without End. I don't remember.
It's one of the
was
two.
it this one?
But we were hilarious when we did that. It was
the
great.
podcast without end. So anyway, yeah, we will continue to give you guys a heads up as early as we know. Also, Council Chambers, be on the lookout for notification about our next hangout. We will have that posted up shortly.
Oh yeah, because we got the date figured.
Yeah,
out.
we got to do that, and we get to do that, Jeff.